Title: Pennies for Pride. Chapter 1: The Tampon Line. I still remember the exact moment my marriage cracked open like a dropped iPhone screen. We were in the kitchen of our McMansion in Plano, Texas. Granite counters, sub-zero fridge, the whole HGTV fantasy. I'd just come back from Target with a cart full of groceries and a quiet panic in my chest because the credit card had been declined at checkout. The cashier had given me that pity smile, the one that says, "Girl, I've been there." Mark was scrolling on his phone, feet up on the Arlen stool, like he owned the air itself. "Babe," I said, trying to keep my voice light, "the Amex didn't go through. Can you?" He didn't even look up. "You have to beg me even for tampon money now, Sarah. Forget about your credit cards." The words hit like a slap from someone wearing brass knuckles made of entitlement. I stood there, holding a bag of organic kale like it was a shield. My period had started that morning, cramps twisting like barbed wire, and I'd used my last tampon in the Target bathroom. I'd whispered to the cashier, "Can you hold these? I'll be right back," and speed walked to the feminine aisle, praying the backup card worked. It didn't. Now Mark, my husband of 12 years, father of our 2 kids, VP of sales at a tech firm, was telling me I had to beg for $9.98. I laughed. Not the cute giggle I used at his company Christmas parties. A sharp, ugly bark that made him finally look up. "You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" He set his phone down. "You wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. This is what that costs." Chapter 2: The Ledger of a Life. Let me back up.
I'm Sarah Elizabeth Harper, née Monroe. Grew up in a double-wide in Shreveport, Louisiana. Scholarship to UT Austin. Met Mark at a frat party sophomore year. He was the only guy who knew who Toni Morrison was. We got married at 24, had Emma at 26, Jack at 29. I left my marketing job when Emma was born because daycare cost more than my salary, and Mark said, "Let me take care of you." For years I believed him. I became the woman who color-coded the pantry, who knew which teacher drank oat milk lattes, who could whip up gluten-free cupcakes for bake sales while negotiating with the pest control guy. I was the engine of our life. Mark brought in the money. I made it mean something. But somewhere along the way, the engine started running on fumes. He froze my cards to teach budgeting. He'd hand me $200 cash every Monday like I was a teenager with an allowance. I'd smile, say thank you, and hide the rage behind grocery lists. The tampon comment wasn't the first cruelty. It was just the first one I couldn't swallow. Chapter 3: The Secret Spreadsheet. That night I couldn't sleep. Mark snored beside me, one arm flung over my side of the bed like he owned that too. I slipped downstairs to my office, a corner of the playroom with a second-hand desk and a dying ficus. Opened my laptop, created a new Excel sheet titled Operation Freedom. I drove to my client's office downtown, first time meeting them IRL. Walked in with puffy eyes and asked for an advance. They paid me $3,000 on the spot. I paid the pharmacy, bought Emma a milkshake, and scheduled a consultation with a divorce attorney. Chapter 6: The Attorney Wears Louboutins. Rachel Kaplan had an office that smelled like success and diptyque candles. She listened to my story, took one look at my spreadsheet and said, "You're not a victim, Sarah. You're a goddamn CFO who's been working pro bono." She laid it out. Texas is a community property state. I was entitled to half. My domestic contributions counted as economic value. Mark's 401k? Half mine. The house. We'd sell or I'd buy him out. "But he controls the money," I whispered. Rachel smiled like a shark. "Not for long." Chapter 7: The Tampon Rebellion. I served him papers on a Tuesday. He came home to find me in the kitchen, same granite island, eating pad thai from a container with a plastic fork. The kids were at my mom's. "You're being dramatic," he sneered. "Over tampons?" I slid the petition across the counter. "Over dignity." He laughed. Then he saw Rachel's firm name. The laughter died. You can't afford this. Watch me. Chapter 8. The Great Unraveling. The next 6 months were war. He froze the joint accounts. I lived on freelance checks and mom's meatloaf. He tried to turn the kids against me. Mommy's being selfish. Emma, wise beyond her 10 years, rolled her eyes and said, Dad, you sound like a TikTok villain. I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment with mismatched furniture and a balcony that overlooked a Whataburger. Jack called it the treehouse. I got a part-time gig teaching copywriting at the community college. My students were single moms and Gen Z hustlers. We met on Zoom at 9 p.m. after bedtimes. Mark's girlfriend Brittany dumped him when the Amex stopped working. Karma's a boutique brand. Column A, assets. Column B, debts. Column C, skills I still have. Assets. $87 in a secret checking account. Birthday cash from mom over 3 years. A 401k with $43,000 I hadn't touched since quitting. My wedding ring, appraised at $12,000, but I'd sooner sell a kidney. Debts. $9,200 on a Visa I'd hidden for emergencies. The mortgage. 2 car payments. Skills, copywriting. Social media. Baking sourdough that could make a grown man cry. Organizing. Hustling. I stared at the screen until 3 a.m. Then I did something I hadn't done since college. I applied for a freelance gig on Upwork. Compelling product descriptions for sustainable period underwear. $30 per hour. I attached a sample I wrote at 3:17 a.m. about how their bamboo fabric hugs you like a best friend who never ghosts. They hired me by morning. Chapter 4. The Side Hustle Gospel. I told myself it was just extra grocery money. But $30 turned into $75. Then a regular client, a D2C brand selling adaptogenic lattes, offered $2,000 per month retainer. I wrote Instagram captions in the pickup line at Emma's school, edited website copy while Jack napped on my chest. I opened a Wise account under my maiden name, transferred every penny, bought a prepaid Visa at Walmart with cash, started paying down the secret card. Mark noticed nothing. He was too busy closing deals and flirting with the new admin, Brittany with the Balenciaga bag. Chapter 5. The Bleed Out. 3 months in, I was making $4,500 per month, more than I'd earned pre-kids. Then Emma got strep. $178 at urgent care. The prepaid card had $62. I texted Mark from the parking lot. Emma needs meds. Cards maxed. Can you Venmo? His reply? Figure it out. I'm in a meeting. I sat in my SUV and cried so hard the windows fogged. A mom in a Tesla gave me a sympathetic wave. Chapter 9. The Settlement. We mediated in a beige conference room. Mark wore the same suit from our wedding. I wore a blazer I'd bought at consignment for $18. Rachel laid out the numbers. I kept the 401k split. He paid $2,800 per month child support. I got the SUV, paid off with my savings. He kept the house, but had to refinance in his name only. He tried to argue I'd abandoned my role. The mediator, a woman with a buzz cut and zero patience, said, Sir, she built your life. You just paid the bills. He signed. Chapter 10. The First Purchase. The day the decree was final, I took the kids to Target. I loaded the cart. Tampax Pearl, the good coffee, dinosaur chicken nuggets, and a $9.99 bottle of Rose. At checkout, I swiped my own debit card. No begging. No permission. Emma noticed. Mom, you're smiling weird. I'm just happy, baby. Epilogue. The ledger balanced. A year later, my business, Harper Copy Company, hit 6 figures. I hired my first employee, a single mom from my class. We work from a co-working space with free LaCroix and plants that don't die. Mark sees the kids every other weekend. He brings them to McDonald's and complains about alimony. I let him. Some lessons you can't teach. Last week, Emma started her period. I handed her a box of tampons without ceremony. Mom, she said, did you really used to have to ask Dad for these? Laughed. Ancient history. She hugged me. I'm never letting anyone control my money. I kissed her forehead. That's my girl. And in the quiet of our little apartment, With the smell of Whataburger wafting up and the hum of my laptop open to a $5,000 invoice, I finally understood. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny you fight for. The end.